that? Yee! We getting it, boy.
What's good? You know who it is. It's your boy, Jay in the Bay.
Your baller back again. Smells like football season.
Yo. Whoa.
What's up, YouTube? Welcome to Straight Out of the Bay. I'm here with my boys after another 49ers loss. This is 3 in a row that the 49ers have dropped, and we're going to recap this game here. First, let's say what's up to the fellas. Jay, how you feeling today?
What's good? Hey, man, it's always good to chat with Kelts. E and Amin will be joining us shortly, man. It's always good to chat with you guys. And we got a lot to talk about. That's for sure. We got a lot to talk about, but always a pleasure to be with you, gentlemen.
Absolutely.
Kelts, how you feeling?
Hey, man, I echo what Jay said. And what a perfect time for the NBA season to start, and especially the Warriors. But perfect timing, man. Perfect time. Hey, I got to keep it lit.
Man, Niners are no longer atop the NFC West, fellas. So they're having a bit of a downward spiral here. I want to get into this game against the Bengals. Niners lost 31-17. I want to ask you guys, what's the biggest reason the 49ers came up short in this game? Why don't we start off with you, Kelch?
Joe Burrows. But then I could also add on Oliver. I could add. It feels like the moment that Joe Burrow got away. What up, Kim and everybody in the chat? Yeah, it's a lot of the same. But the moment Burrows escaped, three? I mean, Armstead, Bosa, whoever else he got away from. It brought flashbacks to the Cowboy playoff game where Armstead didn't tackle him and was iffy, and just the rules nowadays. So I get it. Why? How many times do we see an amazing play get called for 15 yards? So I understand, but it seems like as soon as Joe did that, we heard the announcers all game long calling him Joe Cool and a little, he had a moment like Pat Mahomes. But as soon as he did that and not only got away, but completed it, it's that 1 3rd down conversion, that just set the tone for the game. That play, and teams are not fearing the 49ers right now. When I seen Joe Mixon, lightweight truck, Dre Greenlaw, I'm thinking to myself, all right, teams ain't fearing this. Quarterbacks are just picking this defense apart, and then, of course, turnovers, man. Turnovers, we all know, since we was knee-high to a grasshopper. Turnovers in the trenches. That's where ultimately the game is won and lost, and we're seeing it. We're not imposing our will on anybody in the trenches. And even if we are making nice plays, good job finally, Eric Armstead, coming through and staying hungry. But, there's a multitude of things. But if I had to put it on one thing, I would say Oliver. I know he makes nice plays, but the reward that he gets for his nice plays isn't equaling out with his bad plays. You know what I'm saying? That's nice. Okay, you stopped them for a 3-yard gain, but they still scored a touchdown on that drive because of you. So
yeah,
it's a lot of things, man. Multiple times 5 right now. It's the offense, it's the defense, it's the coaching. Shanahan, because I'm tired of hearing Wilkes. Who brought Wilkes? Shanahan did. Who has the ultimate authority? Shanahan does. Like he's the head man. And as soon as he got tight versus the Browns, we've seen Shanahan be tight ever since. And you can't immediately get tight with basically a rookie quarterback in Brock Purdy and expect positive things to happen. And then also, I might as well say Debo, I hate to say 2 players are gone, but we're missing that dog element. And Debo and Trent obviously bring that. And Jimmy Ward, you minus Jimmy Ward, you slide in Oliver, you minus D'Amico, you slide in Wilkes, you take Trent. and Debo off the field. Yeah, I could even go as far as talking about Mosley, and you get this, penalties, just a lot of things, man, a multitude of things. And, I'm sure we'll be getting into all of it. I know it was the biggest thing, but if I had to, I would have to say Oliver feels like the biggest thing for me right now. We need a shifty. We need a shifty. We need someone fast and shifty. We got enough linebackers. We got Greenlaw. We got guys who could get in the backfield and tackle. We need speed and we need shift. That
I agree with you. I thought the coverage
K1 Williams.
Yeah,
we need a K1 type, but even a little maybe bigger and faster. Because Ward is showing it. Ward is the length. I've never liked the Akilla Witherspoon, the Ward. Richard Sherman was maybe that exception. But when it comes to, for whatever reason, John Lynch, he's been trying to get that, Mooney Ward, that Akilla Witherspoon type.
And
they
want the length.
Like
they want the height and the wingspan, the length, and you want more of a jitterbug, someone who's sticky in coverage.
I want my number one cornerback to be. I'm good with Ward as long as he's like my second or third best cornerback for that occasional matchup, versus a bigger receiver. I don't want that being my number one. Yeah. Yep.
I feel you. Hey, Jay, I want to ask you, what's the biggest reason the Niners lost this game?
Man, where do I begin? First, huge shout out to everyone that's in the chat. What's good with everyone? Hopefully everyone's doing well. Well said by Kelts. I think this is a team blame, or the team is definitely responsible for this loss. I like to look at what has changed since the Niners won 5 straight, then they lost 3 straight. Well, those first 5 games, we were really able to attack defenses with running the ball and passing the ball. The first 5 games, you look at it, we were averaging about 150 rushing yards through those first 5 games. The last 3, we've only cracked 100 twice. And I think that's really affected Brock. CMC, I love him, but you got to use your other weapons. You got to use Jordan Mason. You got to put TDP out there. Elijah Mitchell looks solid on the carry or 2 that he had yesterday. I think you got to use more weapons, and it's frustrating that Shanahan won't do that. Oliver, he definitely didn't play his best in coverage. I thought he was pretty good in stopping the run. I think he had 2 tackles for losses. I like that he's physical. But I think that touchdown he gave up, I think that was to Jamar Chase, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, Jamar Chase is
one of the touchdowns. The Bengals faked a screen.
Right, that's the one.
Jamar kind of faked like he was going to block the corner,
and then he just
Oliver
ran away.
But Oliver, he doesn't have the recovery speed. As soon as Chase kind of step on him, like it's night.
Yeah, but also with Jamar Chase, he's one of the top 5 receivers in the NFL. He's going to beat a lot of corners, and I know people are saying we should bench Oliver. I'm all for it, but it's kind of like the same thing with Moody, the kicker. You take him out, you expect the other kicker to come in and never miss. That's just not life. That's not reality. So if you bring him out, just don't expect the other guy to be a shutdown corner. We don't have a shutdown corner on this squad. I think that's quite clear.
There's not many shutdown corners in the world,
NFL.
Jay.
Right. Yeah. It's the league, the rules. It's not geared to benefit defensive players. You can only, touch a player within 5 yards. And then after that, we've seen the effects of that with Mooney Ward getting penalties. We're tied. I think we're tied with the Bengals, I think, for the most penalties, or is it the Cowboys? One of those 2 teams. We're tied with the most penalties.
The Bengals are,
maybe it's the Cowboys.
Probably.
Yeah. It must be the Cowboys, but let's say this. I know for sure we're number 1 with the most penalties in the NFL with 55 right now. So that's very frustrating because the penalties are something that you can control. And so if you're asking me the biggest reason, I would say it's the inability to have a running and passing attack. Because I feel like when we can't run the ball, everything is up on Brock. We're already without Debo. We're without Trent. and it puts more weight on his shoulders that clearly, he's not able to have a stand-up game. So that's what I would say. And the penalties, they hurt too. They definitely hurt. So
Yeah, the penalties, they've been killing us, especially Charvarius Ward. He's had like 5 holding calls in the last 2 games. Like, Charvarius, get your hands off these receivers, man. They're calling it, and the refs are making the right call. He's being too handsy. He's being too aggressive downfield. So that's something Charvarius is going to have to clean up here during the bye week. Before I give you my biggest reason, let's just touch on a few comments. Hey, those of you watching, hit that like. Make sure you're watching on all of our channels because this thing's being streamed on all of our YouTube channels. So hit that like. But I want to get to E. Kim's comment here and get your guys' thoughts. 2 observations. Bosa isn't being double teamed, and Brock may have gotten a second concussion on that hit from Hendrickson. To address the first one, Bosa, I wouldn't say he's getting double teamed a ton, but what I will say is they're chipping the tight end before he goes out for his route. He's giving Bosa a shoulder, quite often, not every time. Bosa is getting some one-on-ones, and he's not winning them. But that's my first thought about the Bosa being double teamed.
And that definitely didn't look good when Purdy hit his head because he immediately grabbed for it. So that definitely wasn't good. But Shanahan said that, hey, he hasn't shown any symptoms, and fortunately we've got the bye week. That's also something we could just ask. Do y'all think Purdy should have played? Like, where's that? Like, how do you judge that? If he's cleared by the doctor, but he just had a concussion, I mean, if he's cleared, he says he can play, I think you should just let him play. And if you're that concerned about your body, I mean, let's be real, you probably wouldn't be playing NFL football. Like, let's be real.
Hey, I think I think the double teams, I've seen somewhere where he is getting double teamed, one of the most in the NFL. I can't remember where I seen it. But besides that, I remember saying it versus the Rams in week 2. Teams are playing faster versus the 49ers. And not just the 49ers. Teams are playing faster across the whole NFL. Teams got these analytics. Teams know you get that ball out in 2 point, 1 point. You know what I'm saying? So everything that we have done with the pass rush, the NFL is switching it up, man. It's harder and harder and harder to get to the quarterback without just where the NFL is trending, so it's tough, man. It's tough. We've seen the Rams do it to us. Fortunately we got the win there, but we seen, we was getting picked apart by the Vikings, getting picked apart by Burrows. And it's because the teams are going quick. They're evading that pressure. They're stepping up in the pocket. They're knowing how to counter the wide attack and all that. So, it is what it is. Los D says, stop putting resources into D-line when you keep playing zone and the ball comes out so fast. CB.
That's right along your thoughts there, Kelts.
Yeah, CB and a speedy playmaker on offense. Yeah, man, it's moving quick, man. It's turning into, and it's tough because, we're just talking about Mooney as being so grabsy, but it's like at some point, you can only get away so long with having above average, cornerbacks. At some point in time, you're going to need, someone that's pretty damn good, and then you fill the gaps, I've been preaching it for a few years now. Like, a Mooney was cool, you know what I'm saying? But it's like, we need, it just has that feeling like, and maybe not right away. If we can't do it, we can't do it. But it would be great to have a Patrick Surtain type or and then Jalen Moore. Both of those guys are super young too, so probably haven't seen the best out of them yet. But I think the NFL is just evolving when it comes to this pass rush, man, especially the teams that are playing us. I think they put an extra emphasis. Like, that's not how we're going to get beat on offense. We're not going to let them just feast on us like, quick, fast, and in a hurry. So uphill battle.
No doubt. Hey, shout out to Los for stopping by. And CJ also said, what's good? What's up, CJ? Uh-oh. Who we got coming in here? Let's see. There he is.
Good, Amin.
What's up?
Amin the Dream. Hey, Amin, we were just talking about the biggest reason the 49ers lost. Before I kick it to you, I'm going to give you my reason. And to be honest, my answer is kind of a bit of a cop out. But I think the biggest reason is the Bengals had 14 days to prep for this game, right? Including the bye week. Whereas the Niners, they played on Monday Night Football. They had 6 days to prepare for this game. So 14 compared to 6. I thought this was just a scheduled disadvantage. I thought they could overcome it, but just the game plan that the Bengals had, it was exceptional. It kind of looks similar to what Kirk Cousins did, just carving up this zone defense. There's holes all over. So my cop-out answer is just the advantage that the Bengals had in preparation, 14 days compared to 6. But that's just one answer. As we know, there were so many things that went wrong in this game, but I got to touch on the Swiss cheese defense because, again, it's a soft zone coverage that's given up these 7-yard completion curl routes, and then the linebackers. We've talked about how good Fred Warner is in coverage. Well, I feel like I might have jinxed him a bit here because the last couple of weeks, I don't think the zone coverage has been there from these linebackers, Fred, Dre Greenlaw, or when Burks is out there. So the zone has holes all over it. The pass rush, and Armstead showed up, but other than that, I thought the pass rush was lackluster. Nick Bosa, what he's doing, guys, he's pushing the pocket, like he's pushing these tackles backwards, but he's not winning. He's not sacking the quarterback, and those are truly the big impact plays. Like he's making quarterbacks' lives a little more difficult because he's pushing the pocket and kind of compressing it, and it is harder for quarterbacks to operate when that's happening. But Nick, man, you're making the big bucks to sack the quarterback and make game-changing plays. Strip a ball out of the quarterback's hands, create a turnover, and so the defense, the holes, and then also the turnovers. Like I know Kelts talked about, it was 17-10. The Niners got the ball. They had a phenomenal drive where it was a bunch of play action being utilized, and it felt like Shanahan was kind of finally getting back into his
3 in a
groove.
row, wasn't it?
Yeah,
wasn't it?
And he was dicing. He was dicing the defense. The ball was moving. I'm thinking, okay, Niners about to tie this game up. And that's when Brock, man, he has a brain fart where it's supposed to be a handoff to Mitchell, or he could do a little shuffle pass. But either way, it's got to be quick.
Right.
And
hey, you just made me think, baller. You just made me, man. It's like, how do I not think of this when I have all this time? When I do have time to think about it. But it's when someone else says something where I just thought how proud I was about the times when Brock would throw the ball away. How many times would I talk like, dude, you live to play another down, right? How many times have we seen Brock Purdy throw the ball away in the last 3 weeks?
He's been doing it.
It's almost, and then you throw the ball away, and let's say on that drive where that would have been an interception, you go down and score that touchdown. It's a complete different narrative. He's in MVP talks, this, that, and other. That ball you don't throw away that gets picked by the middle linebacker. Oh my God, here's Jimmy 2.0. Came back down to earth. It's just, but that's when I think about the game of inches, like, because it feels like he was throwing like 2 balls away a game. And now he's throwing 2 interceptions a game, but I haven't seen him throw any balls away, that I can remember the past 3 games. It feels like it just came to me, and it matters, man. Those things that, hey, because I used to be so pissed when Jimmy wouldn't throw the ball. Like, dude, if we ever seen Jimmy just throw it away, and I'd get so proud when he would. It's like, there you go. Hey, even if we got a punt, it's just it's a,
and it was first
massive
down. It was first down. So, if you throw it away, you still got, 3 downs at that point. I think you might be in 4 down territory, and he didn't do it. He tried to make a play that wasn't there to be made. Interception happens, and that was a game changer. The turnovers, it was a backbreaker. The second one, I thought it was a really good play by the linebacker, but I'm not making excuses for him. Brock, you can't make that throw. You got to make sure that window is going to be open because Logan Wilson, I mean, he's a really good player and he made a really good play, but you know, Brock, you got to be better in that situation. So my biggest reason or reasons were, the preparation advantage that the Bengals had, the turnovers by the offense, and the Swiss cheese defense, just to kind of sum it up. But Amin, I want to ask you, what's the biggest reason the Niners lost this game?
I blame it on Jay in the Bay because ever since Jay said the Niners, I want the Niners to be in a dogfight. The Niners have been in 2 dogfights, and they were in a dogfight in the first half, and then in the second half, it's all because of Jay in the Bay.
They showing their true colors, man. They're showing their true colors.
Jay knew it was coming though. It's like he had that feel like he knew it was coming.
It was supposed to be Brocktober, but he turned into Brock Garoppolo, unfortunately. But this is only a moment in time for Brock. This isn't his entire story hasn't been written. It's only a small chapter. Brock can still recover. But when I saw what I've seen the last 3 weeks, it's Brock Garoppolo. But go ahead, Amin.
Straight up.
I mean, you can't really put the blame on one person. You look at offensively, the last 3 weeks putting up less than 20 points per game when this offense had a streak of putting up 30 points per game. This offense has kind of been stale. You look at, obviously, the absence of Trent Williams is huge because the Niners simply just can't run the football without Trent Williams. Like, when Trent Williams was in this game, when Trent Williams was playing, how much better CMC would be on the ground, how much more, big plays that we would have on the ground and how we were able to run the football effectively. But with Jalen Moore, I mean, the Niners just can't run the football. Like, they try to go on his side, couldn't do nothing. The receivers and tight ends also aren't blocking that well on the run plays, but you can't really run the football without Trent Williams, and that just shows you how huge Trent Williams is. But this offense has definitely been struggling. Kyle Shanahan and this offense has kind of been stale. I'm not going to put it on Purdy because regardless of those 2 interceptions or 3 interceptions, I still felt like he made some good decisions, except for the fact that obviously he had that interception, which was in the touchdown. Like, you can't have those mistakes. Like, you can't make those mistakes. And then you look at last week games and the week before that, what really cost the Niners is they'll make that turnover or they'll make that stop, and then the Niners are in a good position, and then they'll shoot themselves in the foot, where they'll have a fumble or they'll have a penalty or they'll have like a turnover, and you can't do that, especially when you're like first and goal. You at least have to put up a field goal, like at least put up some points, right? And you have a costly interception, like. You can't do that. And the Niners have the last couple of weeks, the biggest issue with the Niners is that they've been shooting themselves in the foot constantly with the penalties. I think the Niners are tied with the Bills in penalties this year with like 40 something. So the lack of discipline, not capitalizing on your opportunities. This defense has been mediocre the last couple of weeks, especially this defensive line. I mean,
that's putting it nice.
Yeah, like
it's putting it nice.
You look at Nick Bosa, and I'm not trying. I love Nick Bosa, but dude, you're getting paid quarterback money. I don't care about you putting up pressures. Like, I need you to get after the quarterback and get sacks. Like, you should be putting up at least a sack, hopefully a game. Like, you can't. Nick Bosa has like 2.5 this year. Drake Jackson has more. And you know how many sacks Drake Jackson had? Drake Jackson had 3 in his first game, and he's been non-evident since. But he has more sacks than you, and you're getting paid quarterback money, Nick Bosa. Like, that's the difference, right? When you're getting paid quarterback money, I expect better things from you, and I expect you to be what we paid for. And he hasn't been that. Maybe it's been the lack of training camp. He didn't show the training camp because of the contract situation. But when you're getting paid elite dollars, like you're one of the best players in the league, I need you to step up and play like you're one of the best players in the league. And this year, he's not even in the conversation. This year, I would take a bunch of other guys over Nick Bosa because he just simply hasn't been up to par. And you could argue that some of our guys that aren't even starters have been doing and have been more impactful than Nick Bosa this year. So Nick Bosa, step up your game. This entire defensive line just simply hasn't been it. The corners, wasn't Steve Wilkes supposed to come in here and make the corners better? Isn't Steve Wilkes a DB guy? Isn't he a DB guy? No, but it's question, though. Isn't he a DB guy? You look at D'Amico. Yeah. We know D'Amico made the linebackers better. Robert Saleh was the linebackers coach. He made the linebackers better. So when you look at Robert Saleh and D'Amico, obviously we know what they've been as defensive coordinators, they've been obviously great with the Niners, and they obviously are head coaches now, but they were position coaches before they were defensive coordinators. And both D'Amico and Robert Saleh are linebacker coaches, and you saw it on the field with the linebackers playing up to par, and Fred Warner's a dog. Dre Greenlaw's a dog. Steve Wilkes was supposed to come in here and make the DBs better. The DBs somehow got worse. Charvarius Ward has gotten worse. Isaiah Oliver yesterday, and there was a stat, like, this is not me, but there was a stat, 8 targets, allowed all 8 catches. I think he had allowed 2 touchdowns for like 70 yards. Like, Isaiah Oliver, you're a great tackler. Props to you for that. Like the Jamar Chase tackle.
We don't need another linebacker.
Yeah, maybe you should move to linebacker, but I don't know if you would even start on this team because we got some dogs at the linebacker position. But like, you could tackle better than some of these guys on the defense, but you can't do what you're supposed to do, which is guard your, receiver. 8 targets, allowed all 8 catches. Like, get Isaiah Oliver off the field. Like, just please get him off the field. Like, he sucks. He sucks. This defense, there's so many issues with this team right now. Am I worried? You could say, am I concerned a little bit? But at the same time, have I seen this team go into a slump in the middle of the season and then come out and bounce back? Yes, we've seen it before. So am I really, really worried? No, because I've seen this team bounce back when their back is against the wall. We've seen them bounce back time and time again. And going back to last season, the same issues were kind of brought up where, we lost to the Falcons, we lost to the Broncos, and we're like, is this team, really a Super Bowl contender? Is this team, the real deal? Are they pretenders? And this team won like 10 straight and made it to the NFC Championship game. The difference between last year and this year is that last year Jimmy G was the quarterback until he got hurt. And we were saying that with Jimmy Garoppolo. This year Brock Purdy's the quarterback. And I have much more faith in Brock Purdy, regardless of him throwing those interceptions yesterday. Regardless of him, he still had some really nice throws. He made some really good decisions. Him escaping the pocket, his pocket awareness. There's a lot of good things that Purdy does. And I would take him over Jimmy Garoppolo any day of the week. So you have a better quarterback. You have Christian McCaffrey. I think Trent Williams being healthy and Deebo Samuel coming back being healthy will be huge for this Niners team. Now, obviously an issue is Aaron Banks. He's going to be out for 3 weeks because he has that turf toe, which I think is going to be a loss. But this team has just not been it for the last 3 weeks. They haven't been playing well. The defense has been mediocre. The pass rush has been horrendous, especially for how much you've invested into that D-line. They just have been straight up garbage. The corners, obviously, they have not been it whatsoever. And I thought Steve Wilkes' job was to come in here and make them better. But surprisingly, they've gotten worse. Or at least that's what the tape shows. They've gotten worse. And then, the offense, from scoring 30 points per game in like 10 plus games in a row and having one of the most dominant offenses in the league where we were just putting up 30 piece every single game to the last 3 weeks not being able to score 20, at least 20. Like, the offense has been stale. It's been struggling. So, yeah, Niners, they got to pick their game up.
Whoa. That right there is why Amin the Dream is the star of the show. That was excellent. I mean,
spitting straight. That was the sum up what Amin just did right there. He just let loose the full clip. There it is.
Hey, I wanna get to Roberto because Roberto came through with the $5. Shout out to Roberto. He said Wilkes D has been completely solved. We've gone from number 2 run D to 24. Need to get Womack in at nickel and get Oliver off the field. Who wants to take this one?
I disagree. I know the defense hasn't played its best, but I think the biggest reason for this slump is the offense hasn't scored. We scored 30 points first 5 games, we won, and now we didn't. I think the defense, honestly, if you look at it, they kept us in the game. I know the Bengals had 2 scoring touchdown drives, but they didn't do much until they had the 2 scoring touchdown drives in the first quarter and a little bit in the second. And then they didn't really score until the 4th. So the Niners defense kept them into the game. We had that huge goal line fumble. Cleveland Ferrell forced a fumble. Oliver picked it up. And I know Oliver is getting hate. That's part of the being in the NFL. But I think Oliver is solid, especially in defending the run. I mean, if you're a corner, you're going to get beat by some of the best athletes in the world who play at the wide receiver position. Now, for some people that say bench Oliver, put in Lenore or put in Ambry. Didn't Ambry get benched earlier? I mean, Ambry's a special teams player, right? But I don't know. Whatever. Do whatever you got to do. But the secondary, how good can we expect them to be if there's no pass rush? And you can't have one without the other. I feel you got to have both. Both have to be playing exceptionally in order for the defense to play well. But yeah, I think the defense kept them in this game. And I think this offense just has to be better. And I think, I don't know, I'm going out on a limb saying this, but I think Eric Armstead watches the show Straight Out of the Bay because I mentioned him last week. I was wearing his shirt. I said, hey, Eric, I need to see more of this. He got 2 sacks. He stepped up. I like it, but it's not enough. We need more.
Hey,
There should
yeah.
be a way they can audible. Like, I know when you're in zone and when you're in man, it kind of is what it is. But if there's ever a time where Oliver is matched up on, who was it on Dallas? Turpin? I don't.
Turpentine. I mean, but he's one of the fastest players in the NFL. He's gonna burn a lot of guys.
My point is what teams are doing to the 49ers, and I rarely see Kyle Shanahan look at a mismatch and continuously go attack it. I talked about this the past couple years, not even shows. I see Shanahan work his system. Do I ever see Shanahan work mismatches? Not too often. Now, across the league, I see almost every team looking like, oh, there's Keenan Allen on this cornerback. Herbert, go to him all game. Hit up Jefferson all game. It's like, how many times we seen it early when Peterson was talking crap on the Steelers. Hey, Uke, we're going to you today. We're going to tear it up. It's like, but my point is when you see Oliver on Chase, there needs to be some kind of a way to audible out of that or something to where Lenore to where it's already schemed up and throughout the week in this situation, when they try to motion this or throw him in the slot, hey, Lenore, we know it's going to be harder for, it's going to be harder for probably Oliver than it is Lenore, just the body size, just the
put a safety over the top, have a safety help him out.
Yeah, or at least that. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? You got to do something. You can't just have Oliver on Turpin and Oliver on Chase. Like because, like Jay saying, hey, Oliver isn't all that bad, but when he gets mismatched and the other team is scheming it up properly, they're cooking and they're going to eat every single time. So,
and you can't hide players in the NFL, especially on defense. You can't hide anyone. So,
but let me ask you guys, Jay, real quick. Let me ask you guys though. It's like the same situation with Ambry. Is that you remember when teams would target Ambry because they realized that Ambry was the weakest cornerback on this team, and then obviously he had that great interception against the Rams, right, to seal the game. But teams would target Ambry Thomas, and I feel like eventually teams watching the tape are going to target Isaiah Oliver. Look at this game, for example. You're not putting him on Chase, and if you put him on Chase, Chase is going to straight up kill him. You put him on T. Higgins. T. Higgins is probably going to kill him. You put him on Tyler Boyd. I mean, sure, Tyler Boyd is still a dog, but I would still take Tyler Boyd 6 or 7 times out of 10 to beat Isaiah Oliver, if not more. So who are you really putting him up against, right? And if you're hypothetically talking about playoffs, right? This team is a playoff team. If we're talking about all the teams in the playoffs, right? Like, if you face Philadelphia, I don't want Isaiah Oliver on the field going up against Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown. Like, who can he cover? It's an instant mismatch.
Yeah, maybe that's the one. With tight ends. I think Oliver could be like he can hang with tight ends. You could put him on Dallas Goedert. Maybe he can make it a little difficult for a guy like Kelsey. But that's his area of strength. Putting him on smaller, twitchier wide receivers like Devontae Smith. Oh my God, that'd be a nightmare.
Over curtains. I put up one main tweet throughout the whole week. And my main tweet that I put up was, Chase, Boyd, and Higgins versus Ward, Oliver, and Demo. Like, no matter how you situate it, there's gonna be a mismatch.
And then you have Joe Burrow, who struggled at the beginning of the year with the calf. He had the bye week to rest, recover, and now he looked like Joe Burrow. He looked like one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. Like 19 straight completions. Exactly. His stats this year in every game, he never had more than 7 rushing yards. Obviously, he's got the calf. In this game, he had 6 carries, 43 yards. Like, where did all this come from? And he only had 4 incompletions the whole game. So credit to Burrow. I mean, he diced and sliced this up. Like, you got to give credit to him as well.
Big time.
Also, look at Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon. If anyone's playing fantasy football, Joe Mixon hasn't had a stellar year. He only had his 2nd rushing touchdown.
That's actually funny, Jay. Yup, because I had it this entire year, and then I traded him. And I'm like, Garrett, Joe, you've been garbage this entire season. And then the first week I get rid of him, Joe Mixon puts up 20. I'm like, against my team, great.
And he looked rejuvenated against the 49ers. We made Joe Mixon look like a top 10 running back yesterday. Like, that's what teams have done to us in the run game for the past few weeks. Joe Mixon ran over Dre Greenlaw. I hope Greenlaw's okay, because I haven't seen Greenlaw get run over like that. That was tough to watch, man. That was definitely tough to watch.
You know, it was also tough to watch. Baller, real quick. You know what also tough to watch? Jimmy G overthrowing Devontae Adams and overthrowing guys. Like, I mean, I was having so much fun watching it, man. It was so enjoyable. It was so much fun.
Did you see number 10? Did you see him take on that linebacker to try to get a first down? Jimmy's got heart. He's got heart. Go out there. I don't know if you saw the play, but
hey, Jimmy G, the G stands for GOAT. Okay, the G stands for GOAT, guys.
Get down, Jimmy.
Let's keep
never
this
one
thing
guy.
moving. I'm glad 10 is no longer in the red and gold. But hey,
right.
We do this show in part because we love talking ball, but also for the people, right? And our guy Eric, man, let's read this comment here, because let's boost his morale a little bit here. Our next topic is the positive. So Eric, hopefully some of this positivity will rub off on you. But Eric said, honestly, the state of the team is so bad, it's depressing to even think about. I don't even know where to begin. All hope I had for a Super Bowl win this season is now gone. Eric, I haven't given up hope yet, and I think your hope is going to come back after this bye. The Niners are going to play a cleaner brand of football, so don't give up quite yet, all right? But let's get to the positive, because it's a perfect transition here, because there were, and not a ton, but there were some positive things that transpired during this game, and I want to pick your guys' brains about what you did like about this loss to the Bengals. So, Kelts, why don't we start off with you? What were your positive takes coming out of this game?
Man, well, the biggest positive was like seeing this before, just like Amin said. I've been already brainstorming it. We've seen this before. We've seen the drama every single year with Shanahan. It's not even a matter of like is it going to come? It's when it's going to come. And this year's a little bit different. This is one of the years where we started out, we went so hot and then we kind of dropped off. But the positive is knowing that we've been here, knowing that we've done this before, and typically when we're healthy and with how talented we are, we're going to bounce back. Hello, Don, how you doing? And that's the biggest positive. We've been here before. We're going to bounce back. If I were to specifically just look at the game, it's kind of hard, man. There were penalties. There was an injury to Banks. Kittle. I guess Kittle could be one of the positives, I
thought Kittle was really good. I thought he was really good. Yeah.
It's just knowing that we've been here before, I think, for me is like the biggest thing. It's like, I know we're going to bounce back, but it is, and I'll save something else. I do want to talk about Purdy again as well, but yeah, I'll just say, hey, we've been here. We're going to bounce back. Now it's just like, are we going to be seed number 6, or are we going to be seed, or can we come back? And we've seen the Niners do it, win 8 straight. Could we still capture that number 1 seed? We're not too far gone. Like at all. 3 straight sucks because of how high we were, but we're coming back for sure.
Jay, what are you feeling positive about?
That we have a bye week, that guys can get some R&R, that hopefully Debo comes back ready to go. Hopefully Trent is back after the bye week. I think we have to stop saying Super Bowl window. I think the players believe it, and I just think they need to look.
I can't, Jay. I can't. This is the Super Bowl window. I mean, look at some.
They ain't playing like it. I mean,
But let me tell you, next year, 2-3 years down the road, Trent's probably going to be gone.
Yeah.
George Kittle's going to be definitely on the down slope if he hasn't maybe already kind of hit that top of the
we
mountain
lead
already.
we lead the league in penalties with the Bills. That's not a Super Bowl team. Like we've got the talent. I think we have the coaching, but for whatever reason, it's not translating on the field these last 3 games. We got off to a hot start, 5-0, but these last 3 games, I don't know if the players believe the hype. We beat the Cowboys, and all of a sudden, we can just show up to the field, and we just expect every team's going to lay down. Like that's just not going to happen. And we just haven't played like that. We've gotten punched in the mouth the last 3 weeks, and it's just not. I don't know. I don't feel that, but maybe I don't know. I'll say a positive from this game. I would say obviously Kittle had a pretty good game, which is great to see. Honestly, I thought Brock played well until he didn't. I thought he was scrambling outside the pocket. He was making plays. I think he ran for about 40, 50 yards. But the mistakes that the quarterback who used to be here made, I saw that from Brock, and I didn't see that the first 5 games. So I was surprised by that. I knew he would have some bad games, but multiple turnover games. He's had 6 interceptions the last 3 games. Like we can't do that and expect to win games and expect to be in the Super Bowl representing the NFC team. Like you just can't do that. But I like Brock, but he's got to make better decisions. I thought he was a positive until he wasn't. And I got to give credit. I know the defense has been taking a lot of heat. I know Wilkes has been taking a lot of heat, but I thought they played good from after they gave up those 2 touchdowns. From that point to about the 4th quarter, the Bengals, I think they only had 2 field goals in between that time span. So I thought they made some stops, which we definitely struggled on 3rd down during this losing streak. But I thought we made some stops. Obviously, Double A had a few sacks. But we're not where we need to be, but we still have a long way to go. And I'm looking forward to the bye week. And maybe Shanahan will make some adjustments. Maybe Wilkes will make some adjustments. I think something's going to have to be done. So I'm looking forward, and I'm positive about the bye week and the coaching staff, the players looking at themselves in the mirror and saying, hey, we got to make some changes because we're not where we want to be. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
To piggyback off of that, Jay, I definitely thought the defense picked it up in the second half.
Yeah.
Okay, the first half, the Bengals, they could have scored on all of their offensive possessions if it weren't for a missed field goal and Farrell punching the ball out down by the goal line.
That was a heady play.
It was nice. It was nice, but I did think that the defense tightened up and made it more difficult on Burrow in the second half. So, maybe that'll kind of kickstart some things going here that can get right during the bye week. But hey, we're trying to be positive. Our guy, our viewer Eric is a bit down. He's saying the Super Bowl is looking like the window's closed. But let's be positive. What did you like coming out of this loss?
Eric Armstead, obviously, he got 2 sacks. He stepped it up. You could obviously see his impact on the game on Sunday. Jake Moody, he made all his extra points, all his field goals. That's a positive. Mitch Wishnowsky, we obviously know on this channel, we do not know Mitch Wishnowsky slander will be tolerated. Mitch Wishnowsky, this is a positive, but it's also a negative because we're out here talking about Mitch Wishnowsky having himself a good game. Like, I don't know if that's a positive or if that's a negative. Like, yes, Mitch, you did your thing, but I don't know if that's a good thing. But yeah, Mitch Wishnowsky was definitely a positive. And even Brock Purdy, I don't think Brock Purdy necessarily played bad, except for obviously some of his mistakes. Now, that one interception where the linebacker kind of jumped it, that reminded me a little bit of Jimmy, where I don't think Purdy saw the linebacker. Maybe he did. Maybe he felt like he could, squeeze it in that tight window, and he was like, frick it, let's do it. But my thing with Purdy is, I know this is not a positive, but I think sometimes Purdy's, because he's a little bit over-aggressive, sometimes Purdy's over-aggressiveness sometimes costs him. And sometimes because he's a little bit too over-aggressive and he might not always want to take the check down or throw it out of bounds or, he's always looking downfield. Sometimes because of his over-aggressiveness, sometimes he does put the ball in harm's way, and we've seen that the last couple of weeks. But, positives, like I said, Jake Moody, Eric Armstead, and then Mitch Wishnowsky, who's been the best player the last couple of weeks, which you could say is a good thing, but I don't know how good you could really say that is. But yeah, Mitch, no Mitch slander after what he's done the last 3 weeks.
Hey, can we
I'll get
talk
some-
about
Yeah.
Brock for just a second? I don't know if we got a topic for Brock, but one thing that I do want to just say about Brock is like, all right, man, there's still been things that we haven't seen from Brock, right? And I've been wanting this. I've been wanting these last 3 games, not the losses, but I've wanted what situation has happened. And we only got a glimpse of it last year versus the Raiders coming back. And if you remember, there was a tipped ball and Ayuk came down with it. You know, Purdy didn't necessarily just take it down there and win that game, but he did, you know, on paper, I guess, you know, but we've seen back games where when the pressure is, that's when these interceptions are coming. And that for me is concerning when things are getting thick, you know, in these situations to come back. And not every single quarterback could just come back. But I mean, you even do see average quarterbacks with like fourth quarter comebacks. Oh, you know, I want to think of a random name, but just a random top 15 quarter, you know, Jimmy, he's come back quite a few. And I know it's only 3 opportunities, but those were the things that really hit me was like, man, that's not saying that this doesn't mean that he can't ever come back, but it is concerning thinking about playoffs and when things get tight. When you're playing from ahead, it's easy to keep kind of tacking on, or it's easier when when it's pressure and it's fourth quarter and things are tightening up. Purdy has failed. And you know, it's concerning to me. You know what I'm
Thus
saying?
far,
Definitely.
he's failed thus far.
Thus far.
And
Thus far.
and it's also
Just
a relatively small sample too, right? I mean,
Yeah.
what are we talking about? The last 3 games, the last
just
couple games. You know,
we could
small.
basically these 3 and then the Raider game, right? Is the only times he's been in that situation. But I would feel a lot better if we came out on the positive side on one of them. And we easily could have
Yeah.
done it versus the
Yeah.
Browns. But even versus the Browns, he did make the throws that he had to, but he was still off. You know, you can see when things mound up, that's when because he seemed unbreakable so far. And this is the only time I've seen him look a little rattled or just, you know, making those boneheaded plays is when he's made those boneheaded Jimmy plays when he's been behind. You know, and that's just facts so far. You know what I'm saying?
I think that's the natural progression of any athlete playing at a professional level. Like Purdy set the bar so high by starting off undefeated, and in the back of our mind, yeah, we know Purdy's going to have a bad game, but we hadn't seen it. And now when you see it, just like a pitcher, hey, they're throwing a no hitter, multiple games, whatever, and all of a sudden they don't last an inning their next start, or a basketball player like Steph Curry. Hey, he's hitting them threes. Hey, he's hitting 10 or 14 from threes one game, and the next game he can't hit one. Like, it's just weird when you see it. So it's just unfortunate to see Purdy go through this, but I think this will make him stronger. Do I still think he's the answer? Yeah, I still think he's the answer. But I think we haven't really talked about it, but number 19, Debo, when he's not on the field, it definitely changes the offense. And for whatever reason, when Debo's not there, we don't have that thumper. He's like the Dre Greenlaw of the offense. He's looking for contact. CMC is tough as well, but it's a little bit different when Debo's there. And for some reason, Shanahan, he don't want to use his other weapons. Like, you can't just the last 3 weeks has been like deja vu. It's the same thing. Can't score over 20. Defense is getting punched in the mouth. We may limit their points, but they're still moving the ball down the field. But I just think Shanahan, you got to use more weapons, man. Like the teams, they already know what to expect. You gonna run the ball with CMC. You gonna throw the kiddo across the middle. We didn't even Jennings. I don't think wasn't even targeted the last game. So use more of your weapons. Use JP Mason. Use Ronnie Bell.
How many receptions does Ray McLeod have? Like, what the hell are we doing? Like, I remember looking, and I don't look at the stat sheet too much anymore, or the box score. Like, I used to like thrive on all that kind of stuff, or it used to be a big part of what I would look at, and I rarely look at it anymore. But I remember looking at the stat sheet back in the day, like when I'd see a quarterback hit like 8 or 10 different receivers, I'm like, man, that man was dueling. Now it's like every time it's like this long, it's like 3 or 4 guys. You know what I'm saying?
Kittle,
It's like,
Ayuk, Juice hasn't. When was the last time we saw Juice catch a pass? And please stop running Juice up the middle. It ain't working. That fullback handoff up the middle on 3rd and 2. It ain't
even
working.
that sneak, the little sneak that Juice did, I thought there was no way he got the first down.
Right. No way.
Was like
it was clever, but that's just not him. He just, whatever reason, that's not his skill set.
Because we've been doing that for like 2 years now. So it's like they've seen it. When Juice gets behind center, he's going to take the snap.
They sneak it in every three games. Yep, they'll.
Yeah.
Well, I want before I give my positive and we'll move on to the next topic, I want to say what's up to Nick. Thanks for stopping by. He said Gibson looks slow, not making plays. You drafted Jair Brown. Give him a look. Nick, there's more on that to come because I think that's an easy kind of switch in-house that we could be potentially looking at coming out of this bye. Because I agree. I mean, Gibson, I saw Chase run past him. I think, at this point, he might be a backup. I'm not seeing the impact plays from Gibson. Yeah. I know he caught an interception from Dak, but that was kind of lofted up. But anyway, something to monitor. But the positives, you guys touched on most of them. George Kittle, I thought was really good, although he did drop a key 3rd down pass. There were a couple drops. BA dropped the ball right before halftime.
Hit him in his helmet.
Trying to hit him in the face. Like if he catches that ball, they do have one timeout. Maybe they can get into field goal range, and that kind of changes the dynamic of the game. But he dropped it. Kittle dropped one, like I said. But overall, I thought Kittle was really good. Kind of a flashback game for him. His physicality, kind of the speed showed up. So I did like to see that. Armstead, he had a couple sacks, could have had a third where, he had Burrow wrapped up, but it's like, how does he escape? Right. You got to finish that one, Eric. But it was good to see him have a really good standout performance because he's getting paid a lot of money. So start earning some of that, Eric. And then lastly, Purdy, guys, he made some freaking exceptional wow plays throughout this game. Like Brock was making plays. I thought the offensive line didn't block well, so he was under a lot of duress. That's why he ran for close to 60 yards. So he was good with his feet, even kind of escaping the pocket. He had a couple plays where he rolled right and threw across his body, where it's like that makes you kind of nervous, but hey, he completed it. And they were the kid's a playmaker. It was so many throws. He had a dime to BA and, a corner route to Ayuk and Kittle down the seam. There was just a bunch of throws where I was like, man, I love the way Brock is playing. I'm glad he's our guy. And then he makes a couple of those, the interceptions that just really kind of almost they outweigh all the good that he did. He had so many good plays, so many plays where I'm like, yeah, man, Brock's a playmaker. He's a dog. And then, just the negative plays just kind of outweigh all the positives. So that's what kind of took the sting out of the excitement of Brock Purdy's play. But he did a lot of good things, so I want to be positive about it. But Jay, I felt like you had a thought in there somewhere.
Yeah, that reminded me right after the fumble recovery. I think we are 2 yards away from the goal line. And Brock Purdy slings a pass to Kittle over the middle. It was like a seam route. And I was like, wow, that was an amazing play by BP. I wasn't expecting that. I figured, we just run the ball, take it to halftime. But it's good that Shanahan trusts Purdy to be aggressive. And Purdy, when he's on, he's on. But unfortunately, the turnovers, like you said, it leaves a bad taste in your mouth. And unfortunately, it costs you the game. If you lose a turnover battle, if you have more penalties than the other squad, you're most likely going to lose the game. And unfortunately, that's been Purdy the last 3 weeks.
Can I say something real quick?
Yeah.
See, there's been a little bit of not a debate, but people have been talking about Trey Lance a little bit after yesterday's game. And I'm just going to be straight up honest.
Oh, brother.
I am the biggest Trey Lance fan that you will meet, but to argue and say that the Niners made a mistake trading Trey Lance and that having Trey Lance on this team would be any different, or if hypothetically Trey Lance started yesterday, the Niners would win, is just stupid. Like, it's just straight up stupid. Like Trey Lance, who most likely, even if he was still here, who wouldn't have played a single game if he came in yesterday and would have miraculously won the game yesterday. It's just dumb. It doesn't have any legitimacy. To the Niners fans that are saying the Niners made a mistake trading Trey Lance, I don't really think you could say that, because even going back to last year, the Niners started off 3-5. This year they're 5-3. So automatically they have a better record, and with Brock Purdy, they have been successful for the most part. So I mean, I don't really think you could call it a mistake. And if we're being 100% honest, if Trey couldn't see the field against the Niners when they were getting blown out by 30, I don't know what the odds are of him seeing the field on this Niners team. So I don't think it would have made a difference. I don't think it's a mistake. I'm still rooting for Trey Lance. I still think he could be a successful quarterback in the league, but yeah, I don't know how much of a difference it would really make.
Yeah, I think the Trey Lance talk is just fodder. It's just people reaching. They're reaching for straws, man. That's I echo your sentiments, man. I wish the best for Trey. It just didn't work out here. But I mean, this is Brock's squad, but he's just got to play better. I mean, the whole squad, dude. Coaching, everyone got to play better.
I'm kind of glad Trey isn't here, because that's all you would have heard yesterday in the crowd. You would have heard people chanting Trey after a few interceptions. It would have just been the natural reaction, or even if it was just out of fun or just to stir shit up or just drama. Damn well we would have been hearing Trey Lance chants. We didn't. I'm pretty sure there wasn't a single Darnold chant.
I heard him over the TV, Kelts. I heard him over the TV, man.
Oh, bro. Hey, how come they keep doing Brock dirty, bro? How come they keep doing Brock dirty on anytime they go to advertise, they'll show, these three teams, they'll show Pat Mahomes, Herbert, and Nick Bosa. Or yesterday, we come out of the half and they're showing Brock stats and it's Sam Darnold.
They had Sam Darnold on there. Yeah. I was like, that must be a mistake.
Right, but they do it to Brock a lot. Like, if you go to other outlets and see things like that, it's not by accident, bro. It's a lot, or unless it's a lot of accidents by a lot of different networks on a lot of different days, and it's kind of funny, but it's kind of
because Brock isn't supposed to be here. I mean, Brock was passed over 200 plus times by every team in the NFL. He's not supposed to be starting right now. And got the Niners team to a 5-3 start. And I think a lot of people feel like Shannon Sharp. Hey, he's a system quarterback. He's lucky to be there. He's nothing without his weapons, and that's what a lot of people believe. And Brock's got to prove them wrong. He did the first 5 games, but
even like when I was talking about just the timing, it was more the timing of when he made those. It's like he still does some things really great. That's never going to stop. But he does have flaws, like everybody does. Every single quarterback has their pros, their cons, things they're good at, things they're not. And Brock isn't just, he isn't just Mr. He's already proved that he can play quarterback at a high level in this league. Yeah. It's just a matter of a couple of throwaways. You turn a couple of those, interceptions into throwaways, and those things are correctable. But it is concerning when you see the over the middle interception and it become a pattern and a trend. And it's like, all right, bro, you got to lock in when that pressure's hitting, man. Hey, don't forget the basics of, throwing the ball away, taking a sack.
Got to protect the football.
Shanahan chewed him out, I think, week 1. He went over there and he said it publicly. Hey, this is what I chewed him out about. I said, hey, sometimes take that sack. You know what I'm saying? Take that. And this is, like, Shanahan seen it coming. There was a ball that I highlighted versus Dallas where just out of the reach of Van Der Esch. Now defenses have moved that linebacker just a few feet back and a few feet to the left, and now it's getting picked off. You just switch up. You start getting tape, and that hand that just barely missed it, that was an incredible dime. That same pass is now intercepted just because the defense is shifting. Coaches are getting – but now you got.
So that means you got to adjust, right? Now you got to adjust to that. So how do you take advantage of
off your anticipation? Now you got to
maybe you got to run the route in front of him instead of running it behind him, where the linebacker is tipping that ball. Well, now he's going to get this deep drop. Well, hey, run it skinnier, get in front of that linebacker. So yeah, I love it, Kilts. It's a game of adjustments. Defenses have adjusted to us. Now during this bye week, this offense, Kyle, these guys better readjust. Otherwise, it's a copycat league. If teams are having success stopping Brock one way, you're going to get a higher dose of that. But fellas, before we move on to buy or sell, are there any more kind of general thoughts wrapping up this game between the Niners and Bengals? And anyone could jump in here. No. All right. Let's move to buy or sell. Okay, you guys, I'm going to say a sentence. You guys let me know. Are you buying it or are you selling it? And first off, it's been a hot topic on X. Steve Wilks should be fired. You buying that? You selling that? Why don't we start with Amin the Dream?
Yeah, I'm selling it. Like, there's no shot. There's absolutely 0.000% shot that the Niners are firing Steve Wilks this at least this season.
But should they?
Shot.
But should they? I agree
Should
with you that they won't, but should they?
Should they? I think Steve Wilks deserves more opportunities. But if after 5 weeks or after a couple of more weeks, if this defense continues to be lackluster, then I think, you know what, you might need to consider it, because if you have this much talent and for some reason, now it can't all be on the guys, right? Because as much as guys are missing tackles and guys aren't performing, the common denominator would be Steve Wilks, because if the defense is performing under D'Amico, the defense is performing under Robert Saleh, and you pretty much have the same guys, except for you could argue that you got better with the addition of Javon Hargrave. What's the common denominator? And it would be Steve Wilks, who's not, either not doing something right, or he's not having the right scheme that fits his defense, or he's doing something different. But I don't think Steve Wilks deserves to be fired just yet. I mean, obviously, D'Amico Ryan struggled early on in this when he was the defensive coordinator. I remember that Packers game where he was playing man coverage against Rodgers, and Rodgers was just straight up eating him up. And we were all like, dude, is D'Amico Ryan's the right guy? Like, D'Amico straight up sucks. And then what happens? D'Amico Ryan's freaking was great for us in the long run, and he figured shit out, respectfully. Like, he figured his stuff out. So, I mean, I think the same thing can happen with Steve Wilks. He just needs time, but I don't think he will be fired. I don't think he deserves to be fired, but I definitely think he has to turn this defense around as soon as possible, because you definitely have the talent there. So now it's up to Steve Wilks and obviously the guys to not miss tackles and the pass rush to be better, and the DBs to step up. But Steve Wilks, you also have to, have a little bit of a better game plan.
Selling it, Kelts. Steve Wilks should be fired. Kelts, you buying it? You selling it?
Selling it, man. And this is not an excuse for the 49ers defense, but we get so fixated. I know you guys have heard me say this. We get so fixated on our team that we forget about the other team. And the teams, ever since the Rams in week 2, have been playing faster versus us, like maybe except for Dallas. But they've just been just a game plan, just the awareness to, hey, man, we got to get the ball out quicker. We're going to run, we've seen, I think it's more about the opposition, just playing the 49ers a certain way. And of course, there are things that can be, hey, I'm not letting Steve Wilks off the hook. But like the 49ers brought this guy in. I feel like you can't be firing nobody with this good of a team, this good of a roster. You can't be firing folks that you just brought in.
It'd be a panic move if they fired.
It would it would just show a mission of you're the guy who brought him in. You know what I'm saying? If there's some miscommunication or some stuff that's off point, just like Amin said, because that was my number one go-to. Weren't we saying the same thing about D'Amico? And then D'Amico gets a freaking head coaching job because of how great he did. It's like these same things have happened with the 49ers each year. There's always got to be someone to blame. There has to be an overreaction, freak out, fire him. I do. It's a little bit different than Oliver. I feel like he could be utilized different and more minimal and situational. But when it comes to Wilks, there's no way. selling it to the fullest. It wouldn't help a damn thing, in my opinion, except for just create more drama. So yeah, that's how I feel about it.
No doubt. No doubt, Jay. Should Steve Wilkes, or excuse me, the sentence goes, Steve Wilkes should be fired. Are you buying that? Are you selling it?
Hey man, get Steve Wilkes out of here, man. It's Steve Wilkes' fault that Bosa wasn't in camp and Bosa got his money and now he don't know how to rush the quarterback. Get Steve Wilkes out of here, man. Nah. But I'm definitely selling that. But real quick, TB Jr. gave a super chat. Appreciate that, man. So he sent me a Brock Purdy card. George Kittle, man. Appreciate that. Appreciate that, TB Jr. But nah, man, I'm selling it. If you look at the 49ers schedule, yesterday's game was only the second game out of 8 games where we allowed more than 20 points from the opposition. So all of our games, we allowed 31 yesterday to the Bengals. We allowed 23 to the Rams. Every other game, the opposition didn't score more than 20. So I think the defense has been not as good. It's been like a bend but don't break. Teams have been able to move the ball down the field consistently, but we've been pretty tough as far as not allowing them to get into the end zone. So I just think the defensive line, I mean, they are the most expensive unit on the defense. Those guys got to perform, whether it's minor tweaks to, like we talked about with the secondary. You want to take Oliver out, put Lenore inside, put Ambry Thomas on the outside. I'm cool with that. You want to take out Gibson, put Jair Brown in there, or maybe they'll alternate series. One series you get some run, Jair. The next series, Gip you in there. That's cool. But I don't know how much of a difference that'll make. I would love to see them do some of those changes just to see what works, because right now it's not really working. And I saw Richard Sherman, he had a podcast and he was talking about that we're playing too much man defense on first and second down. But you can't have it both ways. Like if the guys play man and they're getting beat or they're constantly getting holding penalties and pass interference penalties, then maybe you play zone. But good quarterbacks and good receivers, they know you're playing zone and they just run their route and they sit in between the defenders. They sit in a particular zone and they still eating you up. So I don't know what needs to be changed. All I know is for the secondary to be their best, the quarterback needs to be flustered. The quarterback needs to be under pressure. The quarterback can't be sitting back there 4 to 5 seconds in the pocket to throw. They just can't. Because we know that's not the same when Purdy's there. When Purdy's there, he got to get rid of the ball in 2.5 seconds or else he's running out the pocket. So I think it starts up front. Obviously, I'm selling to fire Wilkes, but it starts up front. The guys up front who get paid the most, hey, they got to make plays. I would love for them to get sacks, but at least be disruptive. If the quarterback's throwing the ball, jump up and block the ball. Like, just make more heady plays, be more impactful. Sacks are great, but at least be more impactful. Do we have I'm trying to think. Obviously, in the last 3 games, we probably don't have a strip, sack, fumble. I don't think. But plays like that, you guys, they got to make plays at the end of the day. That's what they got to do. They got to make plays. But obviously, I'm selling firing Wilkes.
I'm selling as well. That's where all of us are selling that. Although, if Wilkes does have another egregious, disgusting play call, kind of brain fart play call like he had, before halftime, if he has another one of those like the one he had against the Vikings, then at that point, I'm questioning whether you can make calls under pressure. Okay, I'll give you one. I'll give you one mulligan. You screwed up. It was egregious. Anybody who plays Madden knows you don't send the house with 16 seconds before half. But I'll give you one. Just don't let it happen again. And I'm with the mean. I'm not firing you right now. Like I said, I'm selling it. But hey, if we're seeing the Swiss cheese defense kind of keep up for probably 2 more games, then at that point, maybe you don't got to fire him, but you got to take away play calling duties. So that's where I'm at with that. Next up, buy or sell.
I got a question for you, Baller, real quick, though.
What's up?
This might be a little bit off topic, but did y'all watch Monday Night Football tonight?
I had it on. I wasn't locked in, but I saw Jimmy throwing errant throws, getting intercepted. Yes, yeah.
I've never seen that before.
This is a hypothetical question, but After what Bosa's done so far this season, if you had a hypothetical trade with the Raiders, would you trade Nick Bosa for Max Crosby right now on this day? If you called up the Raiders, or the Raiders called you up and they said, "Hey, Bosa, Max Crosby," would you consider it? Would you do it? Would you think about it?
How old is
I'm not
Max
doing
Crosby?
it. I'm not doing it. But it's relatively close. Like it's not this wide gap between talent level. Like I'm still rocking with Bosa. You know, he's our guy. He's the DPOY for a reason. But Max Crosby is really freaking good, and
Yeah.
you know he plays with max effort.
And even when he's not around the quarterback, he makes plays. He makes his presence felt. And unfortunately, Bosa, he hasn't done that. But I wouldn't make the trade. But Bosa's got to be more impactful.
And I pulled up this comment before we get to the next one because actually there might be something to that. Were we chasing the third round pick compensation? Only Lynch and those guys can tell you. That being said, next buy or sell, Isaiah Oliver needs to be benched. Kels, you buying that? You selling it? I think I already know what you're.
I mean, something's got to happen. He's got to be situationally benched. Like, you know what I'm saying? You cannot have that man. By no means. I don't care what the play call. Hey, implement a system to where you can switch him off of Chase, or you could switch him off of Turpentine, or whatever speedster there is. You know what I'm saying? Like whoever's out there, you know that's like when Fred need to start screaming out Oliver, like, nuh-uh, bro, like you go on this side or you get back, whatever you got to do, man, just put him in. You put your players in the best position to win. You put your players there, and whether that's Shanahan or Wilkes, because Shanahan's the head coach, he gets to say what is and what isn't about everything. So it all ultimately, man, I don't know if we talked enough about Shanahan. Ultimately, it comes back to Shanahan, and they got to do something. You know what I'm saying? Just so I'm not playing the fence, I'm buying it because I want to see Womack, whether it's Ambry, and I don't care if Ambry got beat before. I want, like Jay was saying too, we got to do something. We got to switch it up. The trade deadline is what, tomorrow at 12? You better do something. You better do something because look, I know we have what we have, but we have shown that if we minus a piece or two, we look kind of mediocre. We've shown it. We've shown so far that if we play a Kirk Cousins or a Joe Burrows, our secondary is going to get freaking diced up regardless of the pass rush. There's going to be games where we're just not going to. What can you imagine versus the Eagles offensive line? We might not do that well with our pass rush. We better hope we got some guys that can at least challenge it and ain't getting flagged all the time. So it's like, we better be active at least. I'm not so big on the pass rush. Hey, it'd be lovely if we could get Sweat, but whether it's a Jalen Johnson, I heard Krug talk about a Kellen Moore, and I don't know, it's not Kellen Moore. Something more. Actually, I went and checked him out on
Kenny
the Colts.
Moore on the Colts. Yeah,
Kenny Moore, and he reminded me of a dog. Like he reminded me of, we're missing that Jamie or that Jimmy Ward type of dog. And Oliver is cool when it comes to hitting, but he just ain't that. He ain't that spark plug, that igniter, that not just a shit talker, but just like, kind of just gets up under the skin of the other team. We that would be lovely. No matter what kind of a cornerback or nickel or even a freaking safety, man. I mean, Huff, Huff hasn't been talked about, and that's probably not a good thing.
Yeah, and we're going to get to maybe some deadline activity here in a sec, but it sounds like you agree Oliver should be benched, though. You're buying, you're buying it. Okay,
some way bench his ass.
So something's got to happen. Hey Jay, I want to ask you: are you buying or selling? Isaiah Oliver needs to be benched. Hey Jay, before I kick it to you, I got to address, and I'm not even gonna address this Rams fan because it's like I'm gonna ask you guys: do we let Rams fans get under our skin?
Hell no. To the no, no, no. Yeah, to the no.
Perfect response.
Hey, I mean, he did say one good thing though. He did say one good thing though. He said the Lakers winning the chip this year, which I 100% agree with.
No.
I mean, like football. He's not on the right page.
Hell no. To the no, no, no. Yeah, to the no.
No, just stop. I mean, drop it here. This is where we like kick you out. This is where you get kicked out often. You're gonna make the same mistake again. I mean, you haven't learned your lesson.
Just breathe.
Quite
Just
yet.
breathe.
But Jay, let's get it back to you. Isaiah Oliver needs to be benched.
I would say, sure, why not? At this point, he's had some bad plays that have come out on tape. And I'm all for switching it up. You have to do something. You're not going to switch up the D line. You're not going to take out Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw. So it's got to be the secondary. Jair Brown should get some more run. Ambry Thomas, I know he's been inconsistent, but let's be real. That separates the average from the elite is consistency, right? Any basketball player in the NBA right now could probably make 23s in a row in practice, right? But when the game starts, it's not the same story. So if Ambry's in there, is he going to make a bigger difference than Oliver? I have no idea. Probably not. If Lenore moves to the slot, is he better in the slot than the outside? Let's see it. Let's see what happens. So yeah, let's bench Oliver. I think he should still get some run in some series, but let's let some other guys get an opportunity. And that should be the key word for going into the bye week for the Niners is opportunity. JP Mason, Jordan Bell, give other guys opportunity. So yeah, let's bench Oliver, give some other guys some opportunity, see if they can make some plays.
I mean, your soliloquy you went on kind of when you entered leads me to believe that you're going to be buying this, but Isaiah Oliver should be benched. What say you?
Did I get kicked out the stream, or was that my internet just acting up? And then like I had
Roberto, hey man, Roberto dropped a super chat earlier, so he's calling the shot. So he said,
really,
he said kick Amin. So
all right, that's fine.
But I brought you back though. I brought you back.
All right. I'm putting in all my money on these stocks, and I'm buying the stock of benching Isaiah Oliver. Who can like I said this earlier in the stream? Out of all the teams and like out of all the real contenders, right? Like if you're playing the Cowboys, who's he guarding? He's not guarding CeeDee Lamb. He's gonna get toasted. He's not guarding Brandon Cooks. Brandon Cooks is running by the dude. He's not guarding Brandon Cooks. He can't guard Turpin. I wouldn't put him on Michael Gallup. Like who is he guarding? I wouldn't trust him on any of those guys. The Eagles, I wouldn't trust him on any of the guys. Smith, AJ Brown, like and like I hate to say it, but there's a Rams fan in the chat, but like I wouldn't want him on Cooper Kupp or Puka Nacua because both of those guys would probably do their work and have fun and toy with Isaiah Oliver. Like who is Isaiah Oliver really when he's on the field? I don't trust him to do his job, and that's the problem, right? I know he can make tackles, and he's a better tackler than some of the guys on the defense, but I don't trust him to go out there and do his job at not even a high level, but at a decent level. Like, I have very little fact or very little trust in him doing his job. So, and let's just be real here. I don't think any of the other guys could really get worse, right? So like Jay said, why not try out some of the other guys? Why not try out a Samuel Womack? Why not give other guys opportunities? Maybe a Quantress Knight. Why not give other guys opportunities? Because I don't know how much worse you could really get than what Isaiah Oliver has done so far. He's been a good tackler, but him going out there, I don't trust him to do his job, and eventually offenses know that he's the weak spot. And when you're watching the tape, you realize, dude, Isaiah Oliver is the weak spot of that defense. Just go out and target him. And, the Cowboys did that when they scored the touchdown with Turpin. But, I mean, I just don't trust him to do his job at all. And not at a high level, but at a relatively decent level, I don't trust him to do his job. So, yeah, I'm buying the stock. Please bench Isaiah Oliver. I don't care what money you gave him. He's not doing what he's supposed to be doing. He's a liability. He's just a liability.
He's a liability, especially in coverage. And to round it out, I'm buying it. I want to see Womack or hopefully somebody we bring in here tomorrow. That's the hopes, which leads us to our last buy or sell. And why don't we kind of go rapid fire on this one, because we got a couple topics before we get out of here. But last buy or sell, the 49ers need to make a big move tomorrow. Why don't we start off? Why don't we start off with Kelch? Yeah.
I'm buying to the fullest, man. We have come up just short year after year after year. And the way we do business, it seems like we don't do like what the Rams do and freaking just mortgage it all for the 1 year. It feels like we're able to still get what we can get and still keep it chugging, still stay relevant. We don't have to pump in crowd noise into our stadium and things like that. Jim Everett, like Jesus Christ, Lord Almighty. No, but my bad. I just see the name and it triggered. And
hey, breaking news, y'all. I'm sorry to cut you off, Kelch. Breaking news.
Are you being serious?
Nah, this is not a trade, but Bears star cornerback Jalen Johnson is requesting a trade from the team.
Whoa.
So Niners, you gotta call up the Bears right now and be like, yo, what y'all want for Jalen Johnson? He don't want to be there.
We got to strike. Enough is enough.
That's what John Lynch is doing right now.
I'm calling John. John might not have got the John. Yeah, Jalen Johnson. Yeah, go get him. Yeah,
they've already shown, bro. They've already shown that they ain't gonna play like Womack like that, and who knows what. Like, even if Luter was healthy, are we really gonna play him like that? It's like they're always finicky when it comes to younger dudes, and so I don't.
Womack is hurt too, right? Isn't Womack hurt?
Yeah. Womack, but they should be getting close. But still, even then, it's you got to make a move. That's I could spit out all kind of names. I feel like you have to. We're just looking at the Eagles, looking at the Chiefs, just looking at the other top 5 teams in the NFL. When you just start really looking at the trenches and really looking at the talent and the game plans and the schemes. Yes, we're very talented. I wish I could come back to the offensive line and go get a Dawan Jones, but I just can't do it. The best I think we could do is get some cornerback help, and so we better do something, because if we don't, it's we're a couple of pieces away from looking average. Trent and Debo go down, we look average. I bet if Fred Warner or Hargraves went down for a few weeks, oh shit. Hey, we better be hoping to make the playoffs. Forget number 1 seed. We're second in the West right now, behind. And then what? And then the Seahawks just went out and got dude. The Eagles went out and got Bird.
Leonard Williams is a really freaking good player that they just added to that interior D line.
And Gregory might not be that piece that puts us over the hump, man. And we've been knocking on the door. It's time to kick it down, and you got to make. I know we went and got CMC, but I feel like we got to. We got all the cap space. We got all our draft picks. We got it. Why the hell not? Why not?
I mean, 49ers need to make a big move tomorrow. You buying, you selling?
I'm buying. Do I think this team, if they don't make a move, is still a good team? Yes, but in order to win the Super Bowl, you got to go out and put, all your chips on the table. And if you go out and get a guy like a Jalen Johnson, or you go out and get a guy like a Montez Sweat or a Chase Young, that's putting your chips all on the table. That shows other teams that you mean business. The Seattle Seahawks mean business. They just signed Frank Clark. They made a trade for Leonard Williams, so they mean business. And if you want to win the chip, you got to also mean business. So I'm buying. I think they should make a move. Now, do I think it'll happen? Hopefully, especially after this Jalen Johnson news. I'm calling out the Bears and be like, yo, Ryan Poles, we hit you with the 2nd, 5th, maybe a 6th, what you want for, Jalen Johnson. But if you want to win the chip and you want to go all in and win the Super Bowl, you definitely got to put all your chips on the table. So I'm buying. I think the Niners hopefully at least make one move tomorrow.
Jay.
Fellas, I've been struggling with this one. Do we have the picks to acquire pretty much any person we want? Yeah, but I don't know. I think I'm going to sell it. And I know this isn't a popular opinion, but is Jalen Johnson, is Montez Sweat, is that really the missing piece for our Super Bowl window? I don't think so. I don't think getting another corner will propel us to the Super Bowl. I don't think so. I think we picked up Randy Gregory. I think he's been a solid addition. I mean, the true help we need is really on the offensive line, but no one's going to be dangling their right tackle to for trade bait. That's just not going to happen. Good offensive linemen are pretty hard to find. So I'm going to sell. I think the guys in the building can get the job done. The first 5 games, that was a beautiful trend. I'm hoping these 3 games were a blip and maybe some small changes need to be made, but I think we will stand pat. Now, if they do decide to trade him, hey, bring in some more talent. Sure, why not? But I think the talent is here. And the guys, they got to do their job. If Jalen Johnson is here, but there's still no pass rush, is that really a significant difference? I don't know. But I think the guys in the building are here. We saw that 5-0 start was incredible. I think we can get back to that with the guys in the building. That's just what I feel. So I'm gonna sell it.
I feel where you're coming from, Jay, but I'm with Kelch in Amin. I'm in buy mode. John, get on the phone and bring in one of these blue chips. Like, I don't think like a fringe move is gonna quite be enough. Like, I think we kind of need a big boy, which is might be sad to say because it's like, well, you got stars everywhere, but it just feels like the way the season's playing out and looking at this roster, I think we do need a corner. And Patrick Surtain, he tops the list. I really think that's probably the one guy who would help out this team the most because, we talked about there's not many lockdown corners in the NFL. Patrick Surtain's a lockdown corner. So that would be my top guy. Would I give up? When someone asked me last week, it was like a first and a third. I said easily. But now I'm hearing the Broncos want 2 1s for Pat Surtain. That's pretty steep, but to be honest, I think I would do it, Jay. I think I would do it because I do feel like that is the missing piece, that lockdown corner where he's good in zone, he's good in man, but we're probably not getting Pat Surtain. So Danielle Hunter, that's my next guy who I'm looking at. He has like 8 or 9 sacks.
Danielle Hunter, baller?
Yeah.
Danielle Hunter, like Danielle Hunter, like you kind of said he was like a female for a second. Danielle Hunter, like
okay, okay. Thank you for the correction on the pronunciation. Danielle Hunter, he's a star in this league. He's been doing it for a long time. He gets after the quarterback with, routinely. I would love to add him. Vikings just lost Kirk Cousins, so they're. Whatever aspirations they had, I think went out the window. But along that defensive end lines, I would call the Commanders about Montez Sweat, Chase Young, because while I do think corner is the primary need, the pass rush, we've already talked about it. I think we could add another piece there. And then now, with the Jalen Johnson news, that's obviously a guy I'm monitoring. I know he just had the pick 6 that probably boosted his stock, probably a whole round, draft round, before you might have got him for a 4th. Now you probably got to pay a 2nd or a 3rd to go get him. But hey, I'm buying it. I do think the Niners need to make a move, and I'm mostly probably looking at the secondary. What are you thinking, Kelts? I could see Kelts.
It's crazy to me, bruh. It's crazy to me because I almost don't even believe the own stat that I found. I went all the way back to the 1994 season where we last won a Super Bowl, and every single team, except for 3 or 4 years, where there was like an All-Pro or a Pro Bowl player, like it was on the team either the year before or the year after. So basically, what I'm saying. It's almost 100% of every Super Bowl winning team has had like an elite secondary player, and most of them are all pros. You know what I'm saying? And I almost don't even believe in the own stat that I found, but then, I hear Jay, like, how much could that corner really help? And it's like easy on the surface to be like, yeah, you're kind of right, Jay. And then I just like remember the stat and I'm just like, bro, like that's kind of 27 for 27. You know what when you just look down the list of Palomalo and I could go back in the day of Steve Atwater, but it just feels or Deion Sanders, our last Super Bowl. We had one of the best secondaries we ever had, with Merton Hanks, Tim McDonald, Deion Sanders, and Eric Davis. Our line, we had a couple of pieces, but it wasn't. And I know the NFL is different. I feel like the NFL is kind of switching to where the defensive line is just going to be harder to get there. You know what I'm saying? It feels like even the 18 and a half that Bosa did get last year, I mean, he worked like, he had, there was a couple of sacks where I think he got where he had to dive and just make sure to touch the quarterback to get it on the stat sheet. You know what I'm saying?
That's not normal.
So,
18 and a half sacks is not the norm.
It isn't.
And I think
it isn't.
And Niners fan, I think that they were thinking, okay, a sack a game is normal for this guy. It's not. Like if you told me Bosa had 12 sacks this year,
Man,
I would be happy with it. I think that's a really productive year.
We needed Bob Sanders, bro. We need that Ed Reed. And I know I'm talking Hall of Famers, but I just feel like, bro, like it. And
could Jair Brown be that guy? Is he already in house?
Hey, I was talking big time. Like, who knows if he is? But that's one of my biggest wrong answers, predictions that I got for this year so far. I was like, oh, he's going to come through straight out the gate, and he hasn't even sniffed the field, maybe on special teams. But I feel like we got to get something in the secondary at some point, whether it's this year or the next year. But I wouldn't be surprised the year we win a Super Bowl is when we do have that elite. That elite of the elite, not just the Hufanga, because I don't feel I can't see Hufanga just getting all pro after all pro. It's just hard to see that, but who knows? Maybe he will. You know what I'm saying? But
I think Hufanga's really good. I think he's playing really good. I really like how Hufanga's playing.
I like Hufanga.
Happy birthday, KD.
It just feels like it's kind of what's
happy birthday, Corey.
Happy birthday, Corey.
Hey, we're all talking about trades on the defensive side of the ball. I would say, if anything, we need another weapon for Purdy, which kind of sounds crazy, but it doesn't. I mean, we got CMC, but he's constantly being ran. Give Shanahan another running back that he actually trusts. I know Cordarrelle Patterson's not really getting used in Atlanta. Is he over the hill? Is he still in his prime? I'm not sure, but they got two backs in front of him, but he does similar things that Debo does.
But Jay, here's my thing though, is that Elijah Mitchell I feel like is more than capable, and you have
no burn.
He gets no right. Like that's the problem, right? Is that
right?
Kyle loves Christian McCaffrey so much that even if you hypothetically brought in a guy like Cordarrelle Patterson, will he get a substantial will he get carries to where he can at least have some sort of an impact? Even freaking what's his name? McLeod, I'm like butchering his first name. I don't know what his first name.
Ray.
Right? Like even Ray McLeod.
Double R.
Before Ray got here, we were like, all right, Ray, obviously good special teams guy. Is a little bit explosive and can pick up those big kick returns. But another thing that people were talking about was with Debo, you don't really have to rely on Debo as much because you have a guy like Ray McLeod who could run those jet sweeps and do similar things to Debo. And then Kyle Shanahan ends up not using Ray in that way at all. And you might see it sometimes, you saw it in the fourth quarter when he gave it to him on the last play of the game. But I feel like when Kyle likes his guys and he's stuck to his guys, he just stays with those guys. Like JP Mason, watching Monday Night Football tonight, I love what freaking Ben Johnson and Dan Campbell did. You gave Jahmyr Gibbs, in the passing game he was effective. You gave him 20 carries, but on third downs or second and fives, you brought in Craig Reynolds to be that power back for you, and he was picking up freaking first downs. He was, running through guys, trucking guys, getting first downs, and he was effective also. You have a guy like JP Mason who can do that. You have a guy like Elijah Mitchell who can do that. Now, I'm not saying completely take out Christian McCaffrey from the game or only use those two guys, but I'm saying is that find that balance where, hey, it's a 3rd and 2. It's a 3rd and 2. I can bring in a JP Mason here to pick up the first down if it's a run play. I don't need Christian McCaffrey to go pound him up the middle to pick up that 3rd and 2. I have other guys that can do the same job. You have more than capable three, I think, capable backs, more than capable running backs on this team. that could, come in and do, a pretty darn good job. But Kyle Shanahan, for some reason, is like stuck on McCaffrey, which I get it. You traded for McCaffrey, but you don't need to rely on McCaffrey to do everything. And I feel like that's the thing right now, is that they're relying on McCaffrey to do so much that this offense, like McCaffrey scored 2 touchdowns yesterday. He scores almost like 2 touchdowns every game. Like, you don't need McCaffrey to do that much. You have other guys.
When Shanahan was in Atlanta, he had Coleman and he had Devontae Freeman. They were a good 1-2 tandem. So and even in years past, you had Mostert, you had Coleman, you had Breida for a little bit, for a hot second. Like, I don't understand why he just doesn't want to use other guys. And illustrated a great point tonight. If you watch the Monday night game, it was a 2 tandem approach at the running back position. So I don't understand why he doesn't want to do that. And I'm fine. Take CMC off one series. Let Mason get some burn. Bring McCaffrey in on a 3rd down and short, whatever. Like, just mix it up. Like, I don't know. You just can't keep doing the same thing. Appreciate you coming in tonight, Tyler, Rob, and everyone else in the chat. But hopefully that's discussed, because something has to change. Got off to the great start. We're in a slump. Something's got to change from everyone. Maybe it's Chris Kucera. Maybe he's the problem. He's supposed to be the defensive line guru coach. Has he lost his mojo? Has he got fat and happy? Like, what's going on, man? He's supposed to be able to, work those reclamation projects. What's going on, Chris? You lost your fire, man? What's going on?
Hey, once upon a time, didn't Kyle kind of run Elijah Mitchell like this for a minute? Wasn't there a good stretch where it's like, dang, Elijah
Mitchell, running back, I feel like, has
carries.
been like this. Every running back.
But I feel like Kyle there was a good, it's kind of weird with Kyle with running backs, because it feels like he's went back and forth with this. It feels like he had a committee, then went to one guy, gets hella injuries. Elijah hasn't been the same since some of those 25 carry games, a good 4-week stretch. He kind of ain't been the same.
But also, you have to, like, you can't just give him 2 carries a game and say he ain't got it. Like, give him more opportunities.
Thank you.
Put a package.
You got to get into a rhythm. I mean,
because we've had this discussion about Mason, right? Oh, well, he doesn't know this option route, or he's missing this block. Okay, well, get his ass on the field when you know you're going to power run or you're going to do this. Okay, well, if we do that, then it tips it off to the other team. Well, Trenton's already over there tipping it, so what does it matter anyway? Work what, use what works, boss up, man up, sometimes get vanilla, get your ass downhill, play play football, man. Like, sometimes it comes back down to Kyle's wishy-washiness. You can bank it every single year. There is going to be some unlogical stuff that happens where we're all scratching our head because logic says, do these things. Kyle's like, guess what? I'm going to do this because I'm Kyle Shanahan. Geniuses are crazy, and we run CMC until we run Trey on 2nd and 7. Bet I won't. Look at the Bills. Look at Josh Allen. Bet. That's Kyle, bro. There's gonna be one time during the year where he's gonna go full Kyle. Maybe it's a Halloween thing, because earlier in the year it felt like all that was gone. It felt like it was happy, calm, cool, collected. Hey, we're doing things, Kyle Shanahan. It was like, soon as they started talking, it's going to be kind of tough up there in Cleveland. It feels like just that little mental shift, bro, and things just been weird since.
Hey, fellas, what I want to do, it's about that time. So what I want to do is I want to kick it around the room. Let's all give our last thoughts. Appreciate, the chat was live tonight, so we got to thank the chat for coming by. But let's kick it around, say your final piece and give me one thing that you want to be improved upon during this bye week on your way out the door. What do you want improved upon during this bye week? Only one thing. And then, say your final goodbyes. Let's start it with you, Jay.
Okay. Once again, appreciate everyone that's in the chat tonight. We appreciate it. Make sure you like the video wherever channel you're watching on. We appreciate all the support. One thing that should be improved during the bye week, it's the guy who touches the ball on every play. He's just got to be better. I know it's supposed to be Brocktober. I know tomorrow's Halloween, but please, Brock, take off that Brock Garoppolo mask. We need you to put back on that Brock Purdy mask, man. We need you to take better care of the football, make better decisions. When he's not making those turnovers, he's been pretty damn good. He's making plays. Brock is exciting to watch. I like watching him throw the rock. I like watching him escape, make plays with his legs, but he's got to make better decisions. And I honestly, if we score 30 points, I think the defense can play good enough to win games. We saw that the first 5 weeks. So this offense got to get better, and it starts with number 13, Brock Purdy.
I mean, the dream. What's got to improve as we wrap up here?
I want better execution. John Gruden on the Hard Knocks episode, he's like, I want better execution. That's what I want. I want better execution. I want this team to be more disciplined. But yeah, I want better execution offensively, defensively. I'm grateful for the bye week because I don't got to worry about football this week. Like, I need this bye week as a fan mentally. Like, I just ain't ready. But yeah, simply like better execution.
The Niners needed that bye week too. Kelts.
Hey, mine ties right in with Jay in the Bay because I'm kind of sold on that. I feel like our defense, even with Oliver, I feel like we can get by. Like if Purdy throws the ball away, doesn't throw the interception, and score touchdowns. It's that simple. Throw the ball away in those, he stopped throwing the ball away. He's throwing picks. When he was throwing the ball away, he wasn't throwing picks. Live to fight another down, eliminate the mistakes. I could say mistakes across the board. Turnovers, penalties. Come on, man. Let's get back to the basics. Take this break is probably perfect, to just on the mental, throw the ball away, stop the turnovers, score the TD.
Appreciate that. I'm going right to the trenches. The trenches, Chris Forster, the offensive line coach. I mean, the run game hasn't been working well. I'm not seeing a bunch of open lanes like we saw early on in the year. So I'm looking at the trenches, O-line, start blocking better, especially in the run game. And then, the D-line, let's start getting after these quarterbacks. Pushing the pocket and isn't doing quite enough. We need more sacks, more strip sacks, just more game-changing plays from this D-line because those cats are making a lot of money. But, hey, fellas, this is where we say goodbye. We'll be back next week. Maybe we can do some positional analysis then. Couldn't fit it in today. But, fellas, always a blast talking to y'all. Chat, thanks for stopping by, and we'll catch y'all next week.
Peace.
Yee.
Yee! We getting it, boy.
What's good? You know who it is. It's your boy, Jay in the Bay.
Your baller back again. Smells like football season.
Yo.